Days of Our Lives, May 8th, Sarah's terrifying collapse, Johnny strikes back, and EJ's dangerous plot unfolds. Thursday's episode of Days of Our Lives brings with it an avalanche of emotions, strained relationships, power plays, and a health scare that could change the trajectory of more than one life in Salem. Sarah's collapse turns a sweet treat into a medical emergency. What was meant to be a sweet and simple moment of joy quickly spirals into panic and fear for Sarah. After convincing Xander to put aside work and enjoy a peaceful weekend together, what they've lovingly called their mini honeymoon, Sarah and Xander find themselves at the town square. The mood is light, festive even, as they delight in treats from Sweet Bits, the popular bakery beloved across Salem. But the moment doesn't last. As Sarah samples one of the pastries, her face tightens. First, it's subtle. A small cough, a quick clearing of her throat. But then it intensifies. The coughing becomes persistent. Her breathing starts to falter. Xander, noticing her sudden discomfort, jumps into action. But it's clear Sarah isn't just choking on a crumb. She's having a severe allergic reaction. The very treat that was supposed to be a symbol of love and happiness might be the thing that brings tragedy. It's speculated that the treat she consumed contained a hidden allergen possibly tied to one of Felicity's recipes. If that's the case, the consequences could stretch beyond Sarah's health. This could ignite a chain reaction involving Sweet Bits' reputation, Felicity's budding culinary ambitions, and the entire Green family's involvement in the town's dynamics. Xander, visibly shaken, will fight to stay calm as paramedics arrive, but the fear in his eyes is impossible to ignore. For all his tough exterior, his heart lives outside his body when it comes to Sarah. And in this moment, the possibility of losing her, especially during a time that was meant to be celebratory, shakes him to his core. Johnny faces off with EJ, a son's quiet rebellion while Sarah battles for air. Another storm is brewing across town, and it's emotional rather than physical. Johnny has been carrying a growing weight on his shoulders. The unresolved tensions between him and his father have begun to fester into something darker. Ever since EJ started making moves in the business world that seemed more self-serving than strategic, Johnny has found himself drifting away, disillusioned, bitter, and determined to prove he's more than just his father's pawn. And so, when Johnny meets EJ at the bar, there's no warmth. No familial comfort. Only frost. Their conversation, although civil on the surface, is a minefield of subtle jabs and unspoken accusations. Every word drips with the history between them. The expectations EJ placed on Johnny, the disappointments Johnny has felt, the need to carve out a separate identity. But the real shock comes later. Johnny, possibly after some heart-to-heart advice from Marlena, makes a decision that could mark a turning point in his life. He's going to accept a job at Titan. Yes, the very company that EJ considers his corporate rival. Johnny's choice isn't just professional, it's deeply personal. A deliberate act of rebellion. A calculated move to assert his independence while dealing a blow to his father. For Johnny, it's no longer just about proving himself. It's about cutting ties to the control EJ has always wielded over him. And for EJ, this betrayal may sting in ways he never expected. Chad and Kat, a match made in manipulation? Meanwhile, Chad finds himself drawn into a situation he wasn't expecting, but maybe one he secretly hoped for. Thanks to EJ's subtle matchmaking tactics, Chad is handed a curious opportunity. Kat, charismatic and complex in her own right, offers Chad a pass on an upcoming bachelor auction. While it may seem like an act of kindness or disinterest, there's more beneath the surface. EJ's plan is clear: create a low-pressure scenario where Chad and Kat can get to know one another. No dates. No expectations. Just two people working together, perhaps on Felicity's growing crisis. And it works. Chad, though cautious, can't help but be intrigued by Kat's offer and presence. As the two come together to help Felicity navigate her latest obstacle, their chemistry begins to bubble beneath the surface. There's mutual respect, mutual understanding, and the possibility of something more, something neither of them is ready to admit out loud yet. But with Felicity's situation potentially tied to Sarah's allergic reaction, the stakes are higher than they realize. What begins as a light-hearted matchmaking scheme might blossom into a deeper partnership built through crisis and compassion. Chanel's grief and Abe's steady presence over at the Dupree residence, Chanel continues to carry the emotional weight of her recent heartbreaks. The dissolution of her marriage, the pain of a failed adoption, the feeling that her dreams of family are crumbling in front of her. But she's not alone. Abe, always the pillar of quiet strength, sits with her. There are no grand gestures, no empty reassurances, just presence, comfort, a father figure willing to listen, to absorb the hurt, and to offer the kind of gentle wisdom only he can. This moment may be quiet compared to the chaos elsewhere in Salem, but emotionally, it's just as powerful. Chanel, who's been trying to keep it together, may finally let her guard down. And in doing so, she just might find a new path forward. One that doesn't rely on what's been lost, but on what can still be built. EJ's hospital takeover scheme, dangerous allies and untrustworthy motives back in the boardrooms and behind closed doors. EJ continues to play a dangerous game. With Kayla refusing to back his hospital acquisition, EJ sets his sights on Marlena. He knows that Marlena's voice carries weight, not just with the hospital board, but with the community. If he can get her to support him, the dominoes may start falling in his favor. But Marlena isn't naive. She sees through the charm, the carefully chosen words, the smiles that don't reach the eyes. Like Kayla, she suspects EJ's motives aren't entirely noble. Still, EJ has one more card to play, Dr. Jeffrey Russell. EJ and Jeffrey's previous conversations suggest a hidden agenda, and their next meeting could set the entire scheme in motion. If Marlena refuses to play ball, will EJ use Jeffrey as a way to sidestep her influence? Or worse, will he expose Marlena's past decisions to manipulate her stance? But there's another twist. Xander, of all people, is also looking at acquiring the hospital, this time with Alex at his side. With Versavic's research entering critical phases, the hospital is becoming a prize everyone wants. A financial opportunity, a strategic stronghold, and perhaps, for some, a way to redeem themselves. A town on the brink as Thursday's episode barrels to a close. Salem stands on the edge of several turning points. Sarah's medical emergency could ripple into lawsuits, business backlash, and blame. Johnny's move to Titan could ignite a full-blown family feud with EJ. Chad and Kat may be falling into something deeper than either of them expects. Chanel is walking a fragile line between despair and resilience. EJ's corporate manipulations are entangling more and more people by the day. The drama is thick. The stakes are high. And as always in Salem, the past never stays buried for long. Stay tuned. This Thursday might just be the calm before a storm no one sees coming. Next, Days of Our Lives Expanded Spoilers. Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. Bo's battle with sepsis becomes a turning point for Salem as spring lingers in the air over Salem. The mood around town is anything but light. The shadows of the past and the uncertainty of the future are converging on the residents, especially those bound by blood, loyalty, and love. And on this emotionally charged Wednesday, the entire town seems to pulse in unison with one man's life and death struggle, Bo Brady's. The quiet hospital corridors are filled with urgency, hope, and desperation as Bo's condition worsens due to aggressive sepsis. His fight for survival becomes a symbol for everyone around him, stirring old wounds, sparking new alliances, and testing the boundaries of morality, all while pushing each character into decisions that could define their futures. The drug that could save Bo, but at what cost? Behind closed doors at DiMera Enterprises, a shocking development promises to change everything. Alex, determined to prove himself after a string of failures and betrayals, arrives with a file that could be nothing short of revolutionary. He presents his findings to Xander. DiMera Pharmaceuticals has been developing a new drug, one that could effectively treat severe sepsis. Xander, who has been riding a wave of risky ambition, lights up with intrigue and cautious excitement. This could be the miracle Bo and DiMera's reputation desperately need. But there's a twist. Their version of the drug is not yet viable. The hospital, it seems, is closer to a breakthrough. Still, Alex believes this moment could be their edge, the chance to flip the narrative and re-establish DiMera's dominance. As Alex exits, promising Xander he won't regret giving him another shot, Xander stares at the file in his hand, torn between corporate gain and human consequence. Is this about saving Bo or saving DiMera's legacy? Two sons, two fathers, one shared pain. Meanwhile, in a quieter part of town, Elia finds Sean in a familiar place, the local bar. She approaches gently, knowing the weight he carries. The loss of direction, the pain of watching Bo suffer, the guilt of the last time they spoke, it all bubbles beneath the surface. She tries to reassure him, reminding him that Belle saw him there and that people are concerned. But most importantly, she reminds him that Bo is a fighter. He won't go down without a fight, she says softly. No, Sean responds, his voice low and firm. He won't give up. And neither will I. Their conversation drifts to their shared grief. Both of their fathers are fighting for their lives. It's a moment of unexpected vulnerability, of broken children hoping to cling to something stable. They wonder aloud what it would be like if their fathers could help each other instead of lying in hospital beds, suspended between life and death. It's a poignant thought. One that seems almost plausible in a town where the unbelievable happens every day. Kayla's desperation reaches a breaking point at the hospital. Kayla Brady sits alone, poring over Bo's latest medical file. The pages tremble slightly in her hands, not just from fear, but from the weight of the decision she's contemplating. Hope sent the file, a gesture of love and trust, but time is slipping away fast. That's when Steve arrives, walking into her office with his usual gruff compassion. The unspoken tension between them is thick. He knows what she's thinking, and he's not about to stop her. You've got to do it now, sweetness, Steve says, cutting to the chase. If you're gonna steal that drug to save my brother's life, it has to be tonight. Kayla hesitates. She knows the risks. She's a doctor, not a thief. But this is Bo, her family, her history, her heart. Her medical ethics are at war with her personal desperation. We just need one dose, she says, her voice trembling. The doctor will think he misplaced it. That's all. But it's not that simple. Dr. Russell, who is in charge of the trial drug, is unpredictable. He wanders in and out of the hospital at odd hours, making it nearly impossible to know when the coast is clear. One wrong move and everything, their licenses, their careers, their reputations, could crumble. Suddenly, Sarah walks in, catching the tension in the room. Oh, sorry, she murmurs. She came to offer her condolences for Bo's condition. After a quick moment, Steve exits to give them privacy. Sarah casually brings up the upcoming medical conference in Chicago, suggesting that perhaps they could skip it to save the hospital some money. Beneath the practical suggestion is something more heartfelt. She wants to spend time with her family, away from the shadow of death. Kayla sees an opportunity. When Sarah mentions needing to find someone to cover for her, Kayla seizes the moment, clearly planning to push Dr. Russell into going in her place. A deception in motion, Kayla sets the plan as soon as Sarah leaves. Kayla's demeanor shifts. She's resolute. Jeffrey enters and Kayla informs him of a great opportunity. A chance to attend the research conference in Chicago. It's a move so transparent it would be laughable if the stakes weren't so high. Jeffrey, skeptical, makes it clear that most doctors would prefer root canals over medical networking events. But Kayla persists. Everyone needs a weekend off, she says, brushing aside his protests. The truth is, she needs Russell out of the way, and soon. Before they can cement the plan, EJ enters the office, limping from his previous injury but still carrying his usual swagger. He overhears the conversation and immediately offers to help. Kayla, thinking he means financial support, begins to speak, but EJ interrupts. No, I'm not donating, he says. I want to be the savior of the hospital. His words hang in the air like smoke. Kayla narrows her eyes. EJ rarely offers help without expecting something in return. Whatever he's planning, it won't be charity. But at this point, with Bo's life slipping through her fingers, Kayla is ready to consider any option, even if it means getting into bed with a DiMera. Final thoughts, a town on edge in Salem. It's never just about one man's life. Bo's battle with sepsis has become a mirror, reflecting the unresolved tensions, emotional baggage, and deep-seated loyalties of the people around him. Each character is pulled deeper into moral ambiguity, stealing drugs, manipulating assignments, forming alliances, all in the name of hope. The clock is ticking. A miracle may be within reach. But the cost? That's still unknown. Will Kayla succeed in stealing the drug that could save Bo? Will Sean find redemption through his loyalty to his father? And will EJ's offer to be the hospital's savior come with strings no one is ready to untangle? In Salem, nothing is ever simple, especially when it comes to saving the ones you love.